All right, we are here. You already know what it is, man. It's the Bearded One, Rally Radio in the building. Saturday's 12:30 today, but we got a lot we're going to talk about. Trump looked like he rolling back the cafe standards. Looks like he want to bring key cards in. And do we have a new king with the Toyota GR GT? Let's get it popping. You already know what it is. Let's
drop the clutch, hit the gas. Rally Radio, where the fast life meets the fast lane.
Yeah.
You're now tuned into Bars and Hoops Radio.
Yeah.
The world of hip-hop and sports live.
Dropping the clutch and then I hit the gas. Wheels screeching, tires burning, I'm flying past. Gotta get home quick, don't wanna miss the class. They schooling you on whips and how to make them fast. Talking about everything from cars to planes. What's hot, what's next, and how to flip the game. They talk in my language, we speak the same. That whip talk complex, but yet they keep it plain. From the news, the interviews, they keep it cool. They give reviews, everything from parts to tunes. Can't lose, come to whips, they not no fools. Don't miss the show, the start time is noon. The Bearded One, S.I. Sean, they crazy though. You can't miss it, tune in to Rally Radio.
Where the fast life meets the fast lane.
All right, just like that, we are back, man. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. You already know what it is. You know it's Saturday. You know it's 12:30. If you see the Bearded One in the building, shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention early. We are moving, and it looks like Toyota's moving too. Yesterday, Toyota announced, and they had a real big shindig go on with the Toyota GR GT. So for those that don't know, the Toyota GR GT, it's been in speculation for about 2 years now, at least. They've been talking about what they're going to do with it. How is it going to come out? What are they going to call it? What's going to be powering it? If it's more than one or two. And you know what? We was talking about this for a little while now. It's been going on for a little minute. They had a little presentation bringing it out of the Goodwood ceremony that they have in UK. And now this is where a lot of car companies like to reveal a lot of the things they're doing. But Toyota, they brought their cars out, still camouflage wrapped, very interesting ordeal. You couldn't tell which one was gas powered, which one was electric, but it looks like they showing us now. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. Don't forget, drop a like, drop a comment so we can shout you out. We already in the building. You know how we get down, man. With that being said, Toyota actually released the GR GT yesterday. Looks like it's gonna go on sale and as quickly as 2027. It looks like that's when they're trying to really make their move with it. Very interesting, because not only did they release the GR GT, they released the Lexus LFA successor, which is electric, by the way. And they released the Toyota GR GT race car. A lot of people didn't really pay attention to the race car side of it. Obviously, they building this car. I believe they building it for homologation. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. I think that it's not a ploy, man. They serious. They moving. Shout to Toyota. They are moving. And they one of the only real car companies that's still moving. Still look like they doing what they want to do. A lot of these other car companies are caught up. It looks like they just doing what everybody else is telling them to do. So looks like it's going to be interesting, man. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention, man. We in the building. We are live, waiting for everybody to jump on up in. I see we already got some people jumping on the side of YouTube. Don't forget, you can tune in at YouTube at Rally Radio Podcast. If you're watching this on Instagram, if you're watching this on Facebook or anything like that, you could definitely tune in YouTube, Rally Radio Podcast. We're going to make sure that we put it out there so everybody can see it. In the meantime, it's a couple other things that's going on in the automotive news right now. But right now, the GR GT is probably the biggest thing happening right now. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. So we actually seen the LFA successor. And I would say, even though it's sharing the same body, it's electric. I think we all knew that it was going to have to be an electric version, but I just didn't know it was going to be like that. I was like, you know what? Maybe they won't actually like use this platform to do it, but they did. They did. They surely used this platform to actually make a gas power version and an electric version. Just to get into the gas power version a little bit, it looks like the GR GT has a twin turbo hybrid V8 in it, putting 641 horsepower to the ground. Has a different kind of transmission setup with a transmission tube that actually has electric motors on it. So when you shift, there's no longer a loss of power in between. Now, you know they chasing time when you hear things like that. Definitely, definitely, definitely a track car. And with that being said, it looks like Toyota more or less was saying in this press conference that they're chasing Porsche. They're chasing them. They straight up said it. They said they're chasing Porsche. They said, we're trying to make it happen. We are definitely going after Porsche. And it looks like they took it personal with Porsche holding this record, the 7-minute record around the Nürburgring. Toyota's not playing, man. Shout to Toyota. Let's go. Shout to everybody tuned in, paying attention. With that being said, what's your thoughts on it so far? Have any of y'all even seen the car? If you get a chance, go over to Toyota's website, go over to their Instagram, go over to their social media, and you can see the pictures of your car yourself. We actually used a picture for the car for the thumbnail that we actually have for the show today. I mean, just some of the specs on it by itself, to me, is ridiculous. And I mean, we could talk about a couple things. One, this car has it's an aluminum body. That's one. Carbon fiber panels. That's another. Big brakes. V8 twin turbo hybrid, right? Not manual, which is, I thought they was going to have a manual version. I thought they was at least going to do that because that's how Toyota get down. You figured they was going to be thinking about the drivers, but like I said, it looks like they chasing time. So like I said, all aluminum body. Car weighs about 3,800 pounds. Wow. Has a 3 1/4 in the rear, 325 in the rear, 265 in the front size tire. That is another marvel. So you already know this thing is putting down wow power. And they feel they have the big wheels on it to control it. It is front engine, rear wheel drive. I figured that, well, with the size of the hood, you already know that they're going to have a big engine in it. I did kind of figure that they was going to go MR, because MRs handle a little bit better, but I guess that's not Toyota's forte. They do have an MR2 or MRS that's going to be probably coming out soon because they trademarking, but that's a conversation for later on in the show. Double wishbone with coil spring suspension, so they went kind of traditional with that. Carbon ceramic disc brakes. Ooh, so the thing stops. Top speed of 199 miles an hour or greater. Shout to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. You know how we get down. Shout to my guy, Brown Hornet. What's going on, my dude? Appreciate you. Let's go. He said that's going to be a beast. You're not lying. And I think that, I don't know. So the sticker price on these things is looking to be about $250,000. Whoa. That's probably the only thing that I could say is going to be not a turn off, but it ain't for me. I know that. They didn't build it for me. $250,000. Now, obviously, this is not the first time Toyota had built, not Toyota for instance, but Toyota Lexus, when they built the LFA, and the LFA had came out to be $375,000, and a lot of people scoffed at it. Oh, I can't believe that they would build a Lexus for $375,000. I mean, it's a Lexus. What does that mean? You know what? It ended up being one of the most iconic cars that we've had in car history, in automotive history. V10, sound tuned by Yamaha with the exhaust for the LFA. And you know what? They became a unicorn. You barely seen them. If you did see them, it would probably belong to somebody who had gobs of money but didn't drive them. So it definitely was great. But $250,000 for this? If I had it, I'd pay it. And that's just because I'm a car guy. You know how I get down. Shout to my guy, Jay's in the building. He said Toyota cooked so well. Yes, they did. Shout to my guy, Brown Horn. He said, I like how Toyota is staying in the game and appealing to audiences that like high horsepower vehicles. You know what? Shout to Brown Horn. He hit that one right in the head. This is what Toyota is doing. I mean, they're fighting on all fronts right now. You have Toyota, 1, this GR-GT. 2, the Lexus LFA successor, even though it's going to be electric, right? Looks like they're trying to bring back the Toyota Celica GT4 and Toyota MR2 or MRS, right? They started their GR series with the GR Corolla. They did put the GR Super to rest, but only because I believe they're going to retool and they're going to come back out with that car strictly for themselves. Now, they did actually put away a couple other cars that I just couldn't understand. I was like all the Lexus line. They be getting rid of it, which I don't understand. Shout out to my guy Big N. He said $250K. The whole group gonna have to chip in for that. That's a fact. Everybody get to drive it like once a week because it's a lot. Shout to my guy Darth Spalding's in the building. You already know what it is. Shout to him, man. You already know what it is. And shout to my guy Jason. Remember, they're also dropping the Celica and MR2 at some point in time as they release the LFA. Right. They've been trademarking. And like I said, that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother later on down the show. But shout to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, drop a comment so we can shout you out. You already know what it is. To me, Toyota has officially said it's war, in my opinion. They've said it's war. They said we going for war. You already know what it is. That's my guy Draco. Shout to Draco in the building. What's good? You already know what it is. It looks like Toyota is just claiming war. They not playing. They like, you know what? We want war. So they came out here and they made cars. And not only that, the brand itself. When we first started this show, we had 5 brands that we felt were the top brands when it came down to the brands themselves as far as creation, pound for pound, dollar for dollar as far as like what you paying versus what you getting. Still making cars for the enthusiasts. And Toyota was definitely in that top 5, right? You had Porsche, obviously Ford, Toyota. On the low end, you had Honda. And obviously, we had to go out of bounds in a car we couldn't afford, which is the Ferrari. But these guys are actually creating cars that people want to drive. And it all started when Toyota, the CEO, said, we're going to stop making boring cars, which I thought was key in Toyota's growth. Shout out to my guy, Jay. He said, and imagine, we haven't even talked about the tuning potential. Someone's going to crack it. Now, shout to my guy, Jay. He's 1,000% right. We're talking about 641 hybrid twin turbo V8 and the way they position the turbos on the engine right at the top too. I mean, like, we already know that that Toyota most likely already gave this car to some of their Japanese tuning companies that they have out there, and they may even use it to revive some of the other ones. As a matter of fact, it made me think about our Legends of Auto today. We're going to talk about that a little later too, because there was another legend or legend that we all saw that was tremendous, and it ended up having an engine that we didn't even think was in the car. We didn't think Toyota made until somebody had to go into Toyota's history. But that's neither here nor there. Now, when you look at the Toyota GR GT, it's a couple questions. Is Toyota taking the crown right now? And I really got to say, yes. Porsche's in turmoil right now. Ford is actually still making tremendous cars. Shout to the Ford Mustang GTD, because, again, that's a car that they built specifically, track and all of that is ready to go. Shout to my guy, Draco. He said, now can we afford them? Question, will it be a BMW? I don't think the new I don't think Toyota's doing too much more business with BMW. I think their next bit of business is going to be with Daihatsu and Mazda. I believe that they're going to help Mazda recreate the Miata, and I think they're going to give it a more powerful engine. We got to see how that plays out. But the question is, can we afford it? I'm going to be honest with you. When Toyota made this, I think this is more homologation than take it racing. I don't know if this is for everybody to have, Shout to Esco. He said we wouldn't like it if we could afford it. I don't know. I would love it. Not the electric version. And the mere fact that the GR is not manual, the GR GT is not manual. Listen, y'all know how I feel about that. If they don't make it manual, then we can't really get too upset with it, I guess. But I mean, you already know. Shout to Draco. He said, I saw RX prototype. Oh, and the Mazda prototype. Yes. But again, are people ready for that? Are people ready for that? And I think right now, Toyota's taking the crown. I don't see a better car company right now. I don't see a better car company. I feel like Toyota is like, we taking it and we keeping it. We taking the crown and we keeping the crown. They got their GR series, right? So that's all of their performance that they have going on, right? We got the GR Corolla, the GR Super, right? They got a couple things going on. Shout to Jay. He said, if your pockets are deep enough, they even said you can just go out and purchase the GT3 as a race car for private track days. Yes, they did. They did. Now that GR race car, I think that one is about 250 to 300. But I mean, if you got it and you got private track days and you like, you know what, we're gonna take this to Lime Rock or something. Like, I want to drive this. Must be good to have money, man. Whoever said money don't buy happiness, they ain't got none. That's what it is. But with that being said, we got to look at, is Toyota taking the crown? And like I said, we could go through some of the other things they got going on. Like I said, the GR series, right? They're going their electric route with the Lexus brand. Now, we talked about that. They killed off the LS, the Lexus LS. They killed off the GS. They killed off the RC. And the IS is probably last one standing. And I don't think that one is going to be standing once this is over. So now you got all of that. So they're going to have their electric brand. And then they turned around and started making a very high-end brand that they working on called Century. Now, with Century, they talking about they're going after Rolls-Royce and Bentley. And I don't know if you've seen the pictures of this thing. It looks like a modified version of those like Jaguar car, the new Jaguars that they're trying to come out with, but better, because that Jaguar designer actually caught a boot in the back. And we're going to talk about that too later on in the show. But it looks like Toyota is fighting on all waves. They're fighting everywhere. No matter what you want to do, no matter what they're saying, they are fighting this thing on all waves. They have battles going on all waves. Shout to Drake. We said at my old age, I'm still about buying used and souping it up. Not ready for the midlife crisis new stunt. I can't front. You know what now? In all honesty, the way that they're producing these new cars are like, they're coming with a band. 1,000 horsepower, 900 horsepower. And I know that Toyota is saying 641, but we already know they could be letting out misinformation with how much power this thing is really putting down. Let's be honest here. A lot of times they've done that a lot, and it's not like they won't do it again. So they definitely could be putting out, like saying one thing and doing another as far as the power is concerned. But they running it right now. I don't see, outside of like I said, Porsche is in trouble. Ford is obviously still building, but there's a lot of crisis with Ford on the horizon. One, they were talking about they short 120,000 or 100 mechanics or something like that, where they have mechanic positions that are open and nobody's taking it. And they're talking about it's going to hurt the brand. The Mustang GTD seems to be the biggest highlight for them right now. And like I said, this Toyota GR GT race car or the GR GT could be battling for that. Because once Ford broke the record at Nürburgring, Porsche came out and they set a new record at Nürburgring, and it looks like Ford is out there trying to beat that record. Who knows what this Toyota GR GT is going to be able to do? Shout out to my guy Jason, and mind you, still getting the Toyota warranty, right? Shout to Toyota once again, and they're giving out the warranty for it. Still, we talking real problems. Toyota is out here creating real problems. And now we got to ask, what's the purpose of the car, right? Now, a lot of car brands, they build cars for purpose. They're not really, they're not supporting the racing anymore. A lot of them are like, they're putting little hints in their regular econo boxes, and they're like, yeah, this used to be good, or slap a little badge on here, or say like how BMW's doing M competition package or something like that. Put a little badge on it that says it has this and this from the M package. No, Toyota's not doing that. So when you ask, what is the purpose of this vehicle? I really truly believe this purpose is strictly for racing. I don't think that they built this thing as far as wanting to sell it to the public like that. I think this thing is really just built so that they can make a race car out of it and go racing. Shout to Esco One. He said Ford building F1 engines fit Red Bull. Next year, rebuilding, dropping Hondas after countless years. This is a fact. Ford is definitely building F1 engines. Nobody's ever turned to Toyota to ask them to really build a F1 engine, though. So we don't know if they're capable of it. But you know what? If it's one brand I think that can do it, I think it would be them. I really do. I believe that Toyota is really holding it down right now. I believe like I said, there's still 5 companies that are still moving in that route. Shout to my guy Jay. He said, we live in an era where the Ford GTD, Corvette ZR1, the GR-GT, and even the Genesis G90 wingback wagon. Yes. I can't front when I saw the picture of the wagon. I said, yo, everybody knows how I feel about Hyundai. I said, Hyundai went out here and they did their thing. Don't forget, drop a like, drop a comment so we can shout you out. You already know what it is. Shout to my guy Marlon, a.k.a. the resident Toyota guy. He says, Toyota is part of Haas F1 race team. Oh, didn't know that. But we will be bringing in an F1 specialist. Shout to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. We will have a specialist that we will be bringing in that will be talking about F1 in our later on shows. So that's going to be very interesting. I did not know that. I didn't know they was part of the Haas team, but don't know how good the Haas team is. They not really that good. We're not going to get into that. Like I said, we're going to leave that to the specialist. But now, what rivals will this car have? The Toyota GR-GT. When you think about rivals, obviously we're talking about cars that can either compete or beat this car. And there's one in particular. There's only one that I'm thinking about right off the top of the head, and that's going to be the Ford Mustang GTD. It's the only one that I'm thinking about right now where I'm like, you know what, this is direct competition. Direct. They came out here specifically to drop their hat into the ring for that crown, you know? So I don't know if it has any other competition. Drop it in the comments if you think that there's another car that actually Toyota was shooting at when they made this car. Did they make this car to cement their legacy and still be one of the greater car brands that we have out here? Or did they make it off GP? Or did they say, you know what, we want to go after this? Sounds like they want that Nürburgring title, and they won't stop. So it looks like Toyota, like I said, I got to take my hat off to them, man. You know what I mean? Toyota is not out here playing any games. Now, last question for everybody. And like I said, drop the answers in the comments. Does it have potential to be the new king? I got to say yes, by far. It has the most potential to be the new king. Shout to my guy Draco. He said, okay, so you know I have the Jux management level. Why they got it in the broom closet? Why they got it in the broom closet? So you know, nah, it ain't that bad. Trust me, we in good shape over here. It's a nice little spot. Shout to Jay. He said the body lines on Toyota were heavily inspired by the SLS AMG. When you see it, you can't unsee it. I would say that as far as the bonnet, like having such a big bonnet with the engine in it. But most GT cars, race cars, are built that way. They are, especially when they FR, like they are built that way. The snub noses we see when the engine is in the back. So definitely the body lines are like, you keep right, you can't get away from it. Shout to Draco. He said, from what I see, the answer is yes. I mean, like, yeah. To me, there's not like outside of Ford, Porsche, who else are we really talking about? Everybody else has forgotten their racing heritage. They've dropped it in some way. You got other brands, super high-end brands that are still spending their money. Aston Martin is still spending their money. but they make a car that is like on a whole nother echelon. And I don't think they fit in that category of the GRGT outside of their the V12 Valkyrie that they came with, which is another car like unheard of, not seen except if you super filthy rich. You know what I mean? So maybe, I don't know. I don't recall any track times from that car. But listen, we're gonna bring it up if we can. But I feel like they the new king. I feel like you got to bring Toyota down now. There's no whatever you making that, and we haven't really seen any track numbers yet. But when we do, I think that they just gonna be astronomical because they even said themselves that they're shooting for the title. That's it. They said, we want the title. They want the Nürburgring title. And they're not going to stop until they get it. And like I said, we're talking about $200,000 plus. But the Porsche 911 GT3 costs $230,000. Now, which would you choose? That's really where they leave it out. They leave it in the gray area right there. Shout out to my guy Jay. He said, fun fact, if you have an older Aston Martin, we'll actually do a manual conversion on them from the factory itself. You know what? That's off the hook. Because one thing that I've noticed that a lot of these cars are time chasers now. They're not really still for the joy of driving. Like, therefore, we're going to start it up, race it, and put it away. They're not really for the cross-country drives, the grand tours. They're not for that. But the mere fact that Aston Martin will do that just goes to show that their product is not really for chasing time. Their product is for the grand tours, for the driving. It's for the, the back roads, the hills, the Smoky Mountains, the Dragon's Tails, those kind of places. That's what it's really for. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. You know how we get down. Don't forget, drop a like, drop a comment so we can shout you out. With that being said, Toyota looks like they want the crown. And it looks like nobody else is going to get in their way. That's the only car, like I said, the only two car company I believe that's going to get in their way is Ford and Porsche. And I believe just because they have the money to do it. Because all these other car companies, they definitely not on it like that. Honda, yes, they putting out the Type R, but at the end of the day, that's it. We're looking for an S2000 from them. They come out with this Prelude that's supposed to be a GT car. It looks relatively slow. It looks like it's going to be a hit among people who think they drive. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be like, oh, I got the Honda Prelude with the big. But other than that, nobody's really chasing that car. So it doesn't really look like it's going to be a hit. And on top of that, it's at $43,000. Dealers are marking it up to $60,000. You mark that car up to $60,000 for $55,000, you can get yourself a Corvette C8. You got a choice to make then. So with that being said, it looks like Toyota actually came out and said that they was clear that they weren't being humiliated this time and that they want the crown. But like I said, the crown is going to be the sub 7-minute Nürburgring time. And we talking all of this. What if Nissan does build another GTR? Because remember, the GTR was the one who pushed it and took the title for a little while from Porsche, having the fastest gasoline-powered car around the Nürburgring at that time. So it remains to be seen. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. We appreciate y'all. You already know what it is. Man, y'all got me I'm so excited right now. We jump right out of the weekly specs, but let's get to it, y'all. You already know what it is. Let's go.
Weekly specs. Auto news for all the listeners, only on Rally Radio.
All right, you already know how we get down, man. With that being said, a couple other things we got going on. It looks like Jaguar fires the head designer that designed the nastiest vehicle you ever seen in your entire life. And he was a long-time designer for them, but we're going to get right into it. It looks, now we all seen the Jaguar that Jaguar was rebranding and putting themselves out. We couldn't tell if they were selling the car or if they were selling Maybelline. It was one or the other because they surely went with a different look. But it looks like the person who was behind the design has been escorted out of the office. This is actually very interesting. It looks like that he was the longtime design boss. His name was Jerry McGovern. Wow. Jerry McGovern was actually, according to Jaguar, escorted out of the building. Now, what happens here? Why did this happen? It looks like they got a new CEO who's going to be taking over from them. And it looks like he wasn't feeling it. And he walked this guy right. He had this guy walked out the building. Jaguar has yet to really give any kind of comment on it. This is the only thing that they said, that he's pretty much leaving. And he had been with Jaguar Land Rover for about 21 years, working with Jaguar and Land Rover brands. Now, he's responsible for some of the most popular vehicles within those brands, like the Range Rover Velia, and the Land Rover Defender. And I mean, he's designing SUVs. I guess he tried to take the same notion into designing a sports car, and they wasn't hearing it. Shout to my guy, Clarence Alexander. You know what it is. Rally Radio was in the building. We are back. Well, it looks like they got rid of him, man. They wasn't rocking with him. They had enough of him, and they got rid of him. And that's all that they saying. Jaguar saying nothing else. They are tight-lipped. So maybe this was beef, or maybe the CEO that just took over, he's like, yeah, you know what? I'm not feeling this guy, and I don't want him here. Wow. Either way, just the other day, they had the Jaguar out and about in public for people to see. And I can't say it, at first, when I first saw it on video and not really moving AI or whatever, at the end of the day, we was like, wow, it's a pretty ugly car. Seeing it in person, again, long bonnet, so it gotta have, well, I can't even say engine because they're talking about this thing gonna be electric anyway. So I don't know. I guess they're gonna have to put an engine in there now. It's ridiculous. And the thing was, Jaguar lost a lot of fanfare when they came out with this car. Now, when you looked at Jaguar, you saw nothing but scruffy UK men, shaken, not stirred, 007 type dudes driving the Jaguars, right? And now with this car, it looked like they was going more for man bun, man purse, and loafers kind of guy. So I mean, I don't know if that's the same thing, but it looked like they wasn't feeling it. And it looks like the new CEO, PB Balaji, terminated this guy. So it looks like he wasn't trying to hear it, It is what it is, man. Listen, you're only as good as your last move, and that's just how it is for a lot of people. But shout to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. Whole host of other things going on over here. You know how we get down. With that being said, what else we got here for our news? Very interesting. It looks like President Trump is rolling back cafe standards to spurn savings on autos. Now, for those that don't know, what is CAFE? CAFE standards actually stands for Corporate Average Fuel Economy. And it looks like the U.S. regulations are set by National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, setting a minimum average fuel efficiency for manufacturers' fleet of cars and light trucks, aiming to reduce fuel consumption, dependence on oil, and emissions, with recent updates including proposed rollbacks by the Trump administration to lower requirements for model years 2022 to 2031. What does that mean, Bearded One? Well, we all know where we at. We know EU is having their emissions thing right now where they don't want no more gas-powered cars by 2035. And the United States was trying to follow the same thing. We had CARB, all of these things roll into what's going on with CAFE. So now, with them rolling back the standards, you got other cars that were put away due to the standards being raised that now could be back on the table. And we could be talking anything from V8 powered cars, Dodge Charger, Challenger, cars Camaro that went away. A lot of these cars went away because, you know what? It wasn't feasible for the company to make them because they were being fined by CAFE, or not really CAFE, but the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and CARB. So they were being fined to the point where it was like, it doesn't make sense in us even making these cars. So now, look, they roll it back. We may just be getting back to what all of our car guys and car girls really been looking for. You know what that is? Performance. We've had a good 5-year span where there's been nothing but Econo boxes coming out and They not selling the cars. Then the prices of the cars are going up. And that was another reason that they said they rolled back the cafe standards, because they said due to the cafe standards being so high, the prices of the cars themselves were going up. So now that the prices of the cars is going up, people can't afford them. They're looking for used cars. This is why the used car market was going through the roof. But now, according to the Trump administration, if they were able to roll back the cafe standards, maybe cars wouldn't cost as much. You know, shout to my guy, Dr. Phil. Yes, he bought us another 5 years. That's a fact. Because now they can't just be like, well, you know what? No, we're not doing this because we set the standard. He changed the standard. And it looks like it's going to work for us. It's going to work for everybody that's in the autos, because now it looks like the brands are going to be making these cars. And on top of that, the prices may come down. And everybody's like, oh, how could you say the prices are going to come down? Because I was having this debate with a couple people at my job. And the thing is, the prices of cars went up because they have to do more. They have to be more efficient, especially when it comes to emissions. There were some cars, like I said, that was totally wiped away because they felt that they weren't fuel efficient enough. If you look at the median price of an EV versus a gas car, the median price of an EV was 20% more. And we all notice there was a point where you went to go get a Tesla or anything of that nature, you were spending upwards to 60, 65, maybe even $70,000 for an electric car. Gone are the days was the brand new hoopty, is like I like to call it, because you would be able to buy a car with, let's say your kid just graduated college and they need a car. You'd be able to go get them a Ford Fiesta, something like that, something small that they would be able to get around in, and it was brand new. You didn't have to worry about it breaking down. All of those cars are gone. So the median price was about 20% more, to the point where some of these gas-powered cars, in order to keep up, they had to add more tech. They had to add more emission standards. So they had to have more things going on in the engine. And there you go. The cars ended up costing more. He said Mercedes-Benz AMG still putting out big engines. They even making them for other brands. That's a fact. But we already said that the gas and electric thing is going to be a class war. It's going to be a class war. It's going to be a class war. Listen, if you don't make a certain amount of money, you can't have a gas powered car. And I know people like, what do you mean? I mean, in order to get cars that was gas powered, no electric, just what you want, you had to be super rich. Everybody else gonna have to get an electric vehicle. And that's why you see the Mercedes Benzes and BMWs, and they still making these cars gas powered, because you got to have a certain amount of money to go get it. But for those that don't have that certain amount of money, either you riding the bus or you getting yourself a cheap EV. And it sucks, but it's true. This is how they moving. This is what they doing. So with Trump rolling back the cafe standards, it may even roll back the prices of cars. It may even roll back the prices of cars. And I think that a lot of people are going to walk away from that and they're going to say, it's not the same. Yeah, you say that. You say that. But we all seen the prices of cars go up in the last couple years, to the point where the average payment for a brand new car is exceeding $1,000. All these car companies had to go to the Hill the other day just to discuss why these cars are starting to cost so much money. They had to go talk to the panel. Shout to my guy Anthony Green. You already know. He said Mercedes has a nice, sweet electric car. I don't know. You know how I feel about that. But I'll take your word for it, Green. At the end of the day, cars are costing a lot. Now, if your mortgage and your rent is already up through the roof, and you can't even get an affordable vehicle because it has to be electric, then you have to find a place to charge it, be able to charge it for 2 hours on stand. Come on. They're not thinking about the people in the projects. They're not thinking about the people in the hoods. They're not thinking about that. So they like, you know what? It is what it is. Shout out to Big A. He said, until someone regulates the dealer markups, consumers lose. So that I also buy that too. Shout out to my guy Dave on the check-in. I do buy that too. We talked about that last week, how the dealers are marking up everything. And they are. But why are they doing it? Because it's to the point where certain cars are not even selling like that. Like certain cars that they having on the dealership floor, they know that people want them. So what they do, they up it, they mark it up. But if they had more of them, I'm wondering if they would still do that. Because at this point, if this dealer is marking up, and I know the dealer up the street got 5 of them, bye, I'm going to the dealer up the street. That's why they marking them up, because they not around. And why they not around? People can't afford them. But now if you roll back the price, you have a lot more people buying them. Or you know what? Be like, you know what? Let's take the 400Z for instance, right? Right now, Nissan is going into a build to order kind of thing when it comes to the Nissan 400Z. That already is going to kill the car, because now it's not going to even be there. And shout out to my guy Seneca. He actually said something real cool last week. Shout out to my guy Joseph Brock. What's going on, my brother? Said the markups are ridiculous. That's a fact. The markups are ridiculous. Shout out to my guy. He is 100% right. And just like you said, Big Ant, the markups are ridiculous, but I believe that they not going to be able to mark them up as much if there's more cars on the lot. Like I said, if when I went to get my Type R, when I went to get my Civic Type R, as I'm going to some of these places and checking out some of these dealers, they was adding silly stuff. Like I said, I had one, he wanted to add a paint job protection. I was like, what? Like, yeah, it's going to cost you about $3,000. I said, so you add $3,000 more for paint job protection. I got to come back here to do it. I'm not, at that point, I just walked away. I went to another dealership. You know what I'm saying? But that's why a lot of them do it, because they know that we're enthusiasts. They know that we want the cars. And these things, I hate to say it, it's on the horizon. You know what I mean? But if they can roll back these standards, I think we'll be fine. I think at the end of the day, they went from crawling. No, they went straight from sitting to walking without crawling or anything of that nature. They just ran straight up. Yo, we're going to full electric. We just bypassed hybrid. We didn't even bother to see what the hybrid vehicles could do. We're going straight electric. And we know we're near ready for that. And I mean, we talking about infrastructure. We talking about grids. We talking about everything. We can even talk about as far as this affecting motorcycles. You think it's not affecting motorcycles? It is. I want a Hayabusa so bad because of my fear that they won't be around for another 2 to 3 years. To me, there's a great chance that the Suzuki Hayabusa will be done. They already kind of got rid of the R1. Now they got an R9. It's like they're going to start getting rid of some of these, I like to say, my gas-powered friends. Because these are the things that people want, and they know it. And they know it. Like I said, like shout out to my guy Joe Broxton. He did say the markers are ridiculous. Shout out to Ant. He did say the markers are ridiculous, but I believe that one of the reasons they're getting away with it is because there is not that many around. And you know what? A lot of the dealerships, they purposely only getting one. Yeah, I'm gonna get one. I know it's only $50,000. I'm gonna mark it up $70,000. And then the sad part is you got some people who gonna pay it. You may walk away, somebody else show up down the block like, you know what, I pay it. And there you go. And that sets it off. So shout out to everybody who's tuned in paying attention. You know, we get down, man. That has to be, to me, one of the most like corniest things is when you like, okay, the price says 34,000 or whatever. You looking at the sticker price on the car. And right when you going down to sit down and get ready to sign the paperwork, the guy says, yeah, so that's going to come up to 64,000. You're like, how did we get here? And as you go up, it says dealer markup, 10 grand, 15 grand, $15,000 on a markup. Listen, I said it before and I say it again. The Econo boxes don't keep them dealerships alive. It's the sports cars, because that's what they do with them. They never sell them at fair market value. And this is why the sports cars do better secondhand. They do better secondhand. A lot of dudes, when they come to get in the sports car, they rarely buy them brand new. Or you'll get rich people who buy them brand new. But people like me, and I'm guaranteeing people like that's in the audience, don't get them brand new. We get them used. It's a better deal. And we know that, because when you go in the dealer, you talking about you're going to buy a brand new sports car, peace be with you. They coming after you. I'm telling you, the way that these dealerships operate, There's no other way around it. You know how they get down. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. You got another little segment you got going on here. Let's sit around for this tech talk. This one's going to be good. Looks like Subaru's going to head this one off, y'all. Pause. Let's go.
It's Tech Talk with Pop the Bearded One.
Pause. With that being said, we're going to talk about another little situation. Looks like there's another car company out there and they have their own fan base. They have heritage, racing heritage, rally heritage. It looks like Subaru says now's the time to tell them if you want another STI. Now, if you got a friend out there that love STIs or love Subaru, you better tell them to get on the horn. It looks like Subaru is saying they will build another STI, but the only way they're going to do it is if there is some sort of demand for it. Now, we've seen Subaru do a host of things except build an STI this time around. They dropped a ESTI, yuck, or it looked like that's where they want to go with the brand. But they got a Performance B version, and then they have another version that they sell only in Japan. But it looks like they still want to create a Subaru STI. And it looks like the only way they're going to do it is if they feel that the demand is there. And he pretty much saying it outright. This is what he says. Subaru Corporation Product General Manager Masaki Kobayashi told the Aussie outlet that the brand has not yet determined which type of powertrain is best suited for a return of the STI nameplate, with the automaker seemingly still open to go both pathways. The two powertrain layouts naturally attract different customers, and leaning into that level of choice can help Subaru maximize or lose to the reach of the STI sub-brand. Now, we do know that they could go electric or they could go gas. Now, but what are they going to do? It's like, listen, pretty much if you are in for an all-gas power STI, you got to get in contact with us. You got to get on social media. You got to let us know that this is what it's going to be. And you know what? I love to see what these Subaru guys are going to do, because I don't feel like it's enough of them. Even though the STI, yes, we all know is great. We know that the brand is great. I don't think that there's enough Subaru STI drivers for them to make it. And so who do we blame for that? Do we blame us or do we blame the dealerships? Like, and you already know that's a whole nother ball game. If they come out with it, the dealerships are going to act crazy with them. The markup, shout to my guy, Dr. Phil. He said they acting like they don't know the answer to that question. But you know what? Ultimately, this is them trying to drum up interest, because they probably already have one. Let's be honest. You know what I mean? They sit around, they make cars all day, every day. There's no way that they don't have one sitting around. Shout to Phil. He said this all marketing. It's a fact. The fact. They said this is the first time we have shown it to the public, so maybe we want to know what the customers think. Maybe we get the feedback from the customers, then we will think. Now, for what he's talking about with the Japanese not auto salon, but car show that they recently had, and Subaru had actually put out a Subaru that everybody was confused about. It looked like it was electric, but it was a hatch with a wing, gold wheels, STI, but we don't know what it is. And it was like, you know what? We can make this gas or we can make this electric. And we're going to leave this up to the people who actually buy this car. I want to hear what y'all think. That's actually interesting that Subaru will go that route. Like I said, it's all marketing. Shout out to Big Game, he said, for real. But are we mad at it if they make it? If they make the car, I guess then we're not really mad at it. But when you think about it, though, and like I said, drop your comments below. How many STIs do you really see? And we're not talking about cars with STI parts. I don't want to hear about a car with STI wheels or STI brakes, or he put the STI wing on. No, true to heart STI. How many do you really see in your day-to-day? I think that's a good question. You'll start to realize you don't see many of them. So I want to see personally how Subaru is going to handle this. I would like to believe that they want to come out with a gas power one, or they may even just do what Toyota just did with this GT3 or GR GT race car. They may come out with both, and you make your choice. What do you want? You want the gas or you want the electric? I think that's going to be interesting. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. You already know how we get down. Looks like we got some other news that came out of left field. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. This threw me for a loop. You know what I mean? Shout to my guy Joseph Brox. He said, been a while, only at a few car meets. Right. That's what I'm saying. I've only seen Subarus here in the STIs, rather. We've seen Subarus, but I mean STIs, you really don't see them like that. So do you think that if they come out with a new one, they're gonna sell them like that? Maybe. I think it's a reach. I don't know. But in the meantime, looks like Donald Trump went over to Asia and came back high on key cars. Said Trump saw the diminutive cars on a recent visit to Asia, and now he wants them in the States. This is actually interesting because we all know that the key cars only been being built in Japan, or at least in Asia, not over here in America. And when there recently was a war going on in Massachusetts about registering key cars. I don't know if y'all remember, we talked about that before. In Massachusetts, they were saying that if the car does not pass standards here in the United States, you can't have it, even if it's past the 25-year rule. Now, the 25-year rule is pretty much if a car is 25 years old, you could bring it, you could have it imported into the United States and drive it out here. Well, it looked like they had that all set up, but except for the key cars. But what happened? The automotive community out there in Massachusetts band together. They got their legislators, and what did they do? They had to take that ban down because they said it's unconstitutional. They said that we can have these cars, and you know what? They won. Shout to them. They won their battle. So now that Trump goes over there and says, you know how he get down. He already spoke to all of the people that's doing the regulations, said, I want these cars over here. So it's remained to be seen if they're going to come out or not. Shout to my guy, Anthony Green. He said 1992 Subarus had a sport car SVX with 230 horsepower, 3.3 liter engine. That was actually a legend of auto here at Rally Radio. That was actually a legend of auto here at Rally Radio. The Subaru Sport, because it kind of was almost a sports car for them, but 3.3 liter in it is serious. Shout to my guy Phil. He said 6-speed manual, 350, 375, make it faster than the GR Corolla, 45 to 50K, limit them to about 10,000 units worldwide. All of them selling. Yeah, you know what? You know what? Would that spurn? You would think that would probably spurn another Evo. I know we thinking too far now, but you figure if Subaru come on with another STI and Mitsubishi sees that there's a market for that kind of car, you would be shocked. That may bring the Evo right back out again. That would be interesting. That would be interesting. And you know what? With those specs, shout to my guy, Dr. Phil, as usual. He's with those specs right there. 6-speed manual, yes. 350, 375, yes. Make it faster than the GR Corolla. I mean, at 350, 375 would be faster. It would definitely be faster. And about 45, 50K, 10,000 units, that 45 to 50K is going to go up 10,000 in a dealer, though. That's a fact. But they probably would still sell. No lie. Even with the marker, they probably would still sell. But that right there, that would be the median great car for a lot of people. Shout out to Dr. Phil. He said the GR Corolla and the Golf need competition. Yes. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Even though the GR Corolla still seems like a lot of people, like, don't get me wrong. You know, the engine is what it is. We already know the 3-cylinder turbo, stout engine in it, right? But yet it's still a lot of complaints coming from that side, coming from the GR Corolla community, as far as like some of these people blowing the motor, blowing the transmissions. There was one guy who was doing the money shift. Now, we all know you ain't supposed to be doing no money shift. You go from 4th to 5th, it better be 4th to 5th and not 4th to 3rd. But he ended up blowing the engine and transmission, and he's wanting Toyota to pay for it. I don't know. I've heard a lot of little things from the GR Corolla community. If you know anything better, drop it in the comments. But I've been hearing a lot of things from over there, so I don't know how that GR Corolla is really doing. I would like to test drive one. If you know somebody that has one and they're willing to let me test drive it, and no, I won't wear it out, but the test drive it, I would love to see what those cars are about. But it looks like Trump is trying to move with these key cars. Would you buy one if Toyota sells one? Now, when I saw the key car, I went to a car meet. Shout out to Daikaku NYC. Went to a car meet that they had, and I saw a key car, and I was just like, I don't even look like get my foot in it. Look like if I try to get out, it's coming with me. It's gonna be wrapped around my waist. But I mean, would they sell? Would they have to make them slightly bigger? Because remember, the key cards are really small. They're really small. I don't know if you've ever seen one or if you ever like got a chance or seen one in passing, or if you did go to a car show and seen one, but the key card is really small. Not built for the average American, let's say that. But definitely Trump is like, yo, this could solve our gas crisis right here. He said, look, he wants them sold. So he already spoke to everybody he got to speak to. Even the U.S. Secretary, Department of Transportation Chief, Secretary, whatever, Sean Duffy. He said he spoke with him about clearing all the regulations just so that they could build them. That is crazy. And then he announced it on his truth page. He said, Trump said, I have just approved tiny cars to be built in America. Manufacturers has long wanted to do this, just like they are so successfully built in other countries. They can be propelled by gasoline, electric, or hybrid. These cars of the very near future are inexpensive, safe, fuel efficient, and quite simply amazing. Start building them now. Thank you to the Department of Justice and the Departments of Transportation and Environment. Enjoy. He'll be wow. He go over there. He's like, yo, son, this is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Shout to my guy. And he said, that's not for us. That's not for us, fam. I can see myself trying to get out and it's stuck around my waist. Yo, can't get in one of them things and get out, kid. I'll be in trouble in there, man. I'll be the laughing stock of the car show. That'd be crazy. Shout to Face said, give me a little Kia off-roader. Okay, and you said he's in on it. Just give me my Suzuki Jimmy. Yeah, yo, telling you, kid. There's definitely, I believe there's a market for key cars, believe it or not, regardless of what. Now, Trump said that, we could use this. Y'all heard what we said, gasoline, electric, hybrid. Obviously, some of the bigger magazines to me who have been bought out, like Motor Trend, Road and Track. Obviously, they sitting here like, oh, there's no market for key cars and, who wants the key car? Listen, y'all have been disconnected from the true car community. That's where Rally Radio fits in. You know what I mean? Like, they disconnected. They don't see what's really going on in these streets. They just know that their people that promote with them and the companies that promote with them are paying them. So that's all they care about. Us, we actually care about the car individual here. You know what I mean? So it may be room for them. Like shout to Andy's right. It ain't for me, but it could be for a thinner version. You know what I'm saying? Shout to Phil. And then on top of that, you talking about one electric or hybrid or a little gas-powered engine, man. It may be fun to drive around. I seen so many of them when I was at these a lot of these different car meets, and I just was like, like I said, it's gonna get stuck around my leg. I don't know. So shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. You know how we get down, man. We in the building. We are coming up on a couple other things that we got going on here. We got our Legends of Auto today. And we also have our driver's etiquette. But before we step into that, Toyota is trademarking names. And that could be a hint at where they're trying to go next. It looks like they are trademarking the MRS name, the MR2 name. So maybe they looking at making an electric version and a gas-powered version of those cars as well. That would be interesting. Shout out to Dr. Phil. He said when Toyota reached that 15K new small utility pickup truck last year, a whole lot of people here in the U.S. were pissed. We ain't get it. Nah, that's a fact. That's a fact. But you know what? They still got, yeah, that's true. 15 grand. You can't beat that. Not from Toyota. Even though there were other little SUVs and things that was released, but just not that cheap. Like the Ford Maverick, not that small either, but it's a small pickup. Then you have the, the Chevy Colorado. That's another nice little pickup. I can't front. I like that one. You know what I mean? But I see what you're saying. He's right. They was mad they didn't get it. Shout to Phil. He said there's a market. I believe there's a market for anything that's cooler, cheaper, and gets better mileage. I believe that there's definitely a market for it, but it's like I said, you got some big people in America. I don't know if they could get in and out, but we'll see. But like you said, a lot of people was pissed off about it. So looks like Toyota is definitely trademarking the MRS. They're trademarking that. And it looks like they're making moves to bring that car back. Now, we had seen a preview of the MRS, and it was beautiful. I know y'all remember it. It was that autumn burnt orange color, big brakes. Oh, man. Definitely had the engine in the rear because the hood was small. But, man, and we didn't know what it was, whether it was electric, whether it was gas, but it was a beautiful car. It looks like they're working to bring that out. And we not only talking about the MRS, they did say they wanted to return to the Celica. Now, for those that did see the GR Super commercials that they was putting out, there was one in particular where they was working on like a design board, and they was moving the design board out the way to look at the GR Super. And on that design board, they had the Celica name. It said Project Celica on it. So maybe they're going to be, listen, like I said, you can't mess with Toyota right now. They get themselves a couple stout engines and they can make themselves a couple cars. So it looks like they're going to be moving with it. They talked about a Yaris M concept, a mid-engine hatchback with a developmental turbocharged 2-liter G20E 4-cylinder turbo. That was another car. That's another engine that may be in this Toyota Celica or even in this Toyota MRS. And if they talk about turbo 4 all-wheel drive, there's only a couple cars we think about. We hit Toyota turbo all-wheel drive. 4-cylinder. There's a couple cars we think about then. So be prepared. Be prepared. Save your little ducats, especially if you're a car person, because you already know what's going down. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. Now we get down here, man. We're going to jump right into our next little segment. And when we come on back, we are going to definitely have a little bit of fun with it. But now, we're going to jump right in. They got a lot of things going on right here. Let's get right to it, y'all. This is going to be our driver's etiquette.
Driver's etiquette. Because sometimes you got to get this off your chest.
All right. Driver's etiquette. We are in the building. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention, man. With driver's etiquette today, we wanted to talk about something that brought back a little nostalgia. You know what I mean? We've been doing this car thing for a little while. A lot of us, before I did Rally Radio or anything like that, we just used to just meet up, drive, had our cars. And the biggest thing back then when we started was like the information. If you didn't have a friend or if you didn't have somebody that owned the shop or anything like that, you really was SOL. You was the one that was in the backyard trying to see if you could make things work. And how do we do that? We used to have things like forums. So we have a forum that recently went down after 27 years, Zilvia.net. And if you know anybody that had 240 or anything of that nature, they were at Zilvia.net trying to get deals, trying to find people selling parts, selling used turbos, all of that. This is how we used to get around back in the day. And now that website is down, or at least it was down, it's down after 27 years. I got to ask yourself, quick nostalgia. Were forums better than the groups on Facebook for cars? It's an interesting question, man. I could think so many times. I used to be part, I'm still part of actually, but I can't say I go on there as much. I used to be on CRX community. I've been a member of that forum for a long time. CRX community. I used to go over there and try to find a lot of different information. So many of them I'm trying to think of right now. K20.org. We used to find people selling parts. You would drive out to go meet them, and we used to call it seeing the troll under the bridge. You go over there, you buying stuff from them. You don't know who they are, but you like, you know what? I met them on there. They said they got a used turbo for sale. You buy the used turbo or any kind of used part, suspension. Oh man, we used to do so much of that. And it's like now you have Facebook groups that are a lot of replacing them, but I feel like the forums was better. It's like you went to the forum specifically for a purpose. A lot of guys would broadcast their builds on the forum. They would start a thread about, yo, look, I bought this car, and then you would follow the thread, and they doing this and they doing that, and they adding on and they doing this. And it's like that was really it before we had the YouTube and the Facebook and things like that of that nature. But was it better then than it is now? Is the better question. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. Shout out to my guy, Dr. Phil. He said yes. And I think so too. I feel like back then it's like it was more drive. Like right now, if you want to build a car, you don't really got to go too far. You could just go right on your YouTube page, type it in, and just see what somebody else did, and there's your build. Where before it was like you really had to do your homework. Like maybe somebody's building something that you're trying to build, and maybe they're using parts. Maybe their parts was unsuccessful, and you like, yo, I was trying this. And to me, it was just 1,000 times better. It's just a little bit of nostalgia. It just makes you think like how far we've moved in this automotive game, man. Like where it used to, the biggest thing was you bought a car. Okay, fine. You bought a Honda. Go join b20vtech.com. Go join k20.org. You know what I mean? Like, because there was people out there doing builds and moving things. And he was like, oh, you need the parts from the 1990-91 EX to go 5 lug on the CRX. Stuff like that. Like rare information that you just can't find anymore, or people deem it old. So it's like now they moving into newer cars, and these newer cars are coming with so much that they don't even need to really be a forum for them now, because nobody's even taking a wrench to them now. So it's very interesting. It's like when I heard that the Zilvia.net site went down, it made me really sit back and go, wow, man, that was one of the sites that you've seen a lot of people going on. You would see it all over people's cars. When you go to car meets, when we went to the races and stuff like that, Zilvia.net, Zilvia, you would see dudes, they would be meeting up talking about which engine do you think is better, because I have enough money to get a LS engine, the RB, or should I stick with the SR20? It was so many different things that was going on there. It's like now the Facebook groups, it's like even Gutterball Riley, the community. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in. That's tuned in from there. I try to be I try to vet who we let in the group, because I don't want to be like, oh, we let a robot or something in the group, and then Facebook added an AI bot. I'm like, come on. So now, but I can't lie. Every now and again, that AI bot does ask a good question or two. But this is where we were. It was just so much love in the community at that point. Like a lot of things was discussed in these forums, and then it started to make me think in like in a different realm. Do you think that they want those forums down because it's harder to find the underground events, and they know that if you take it to Facebook, they're easier to find? Something to think about, man. Shout to my guy, the Airware in the building. He said the SVX was too awkward and slow compared to the Supra ZX, but it was a movement, though. You know what it reminded me of? When you say the SVX, it makes me think of the 6000 SUX from RoboCop. Even though that was a Ford Taurus, it was like it looked like a Ford Taurus or whatever. Just seeing the SVX when you think of SUX was hilarious. But shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. When it comes down to the Facebook groups and forums, man, it's the Facebook groups are definitely not how those forums are. And I feel like with the forums, you met more people. They would definitely have a lot more car meets, and they would be over here. But now it's like even the car meets, man. They had this one in Queens where it turned into a takeover. The guys at takeover drifting and all that, set a car on fire, beat somebody up, and they just locked the dude up last night. 19 years old. Now, that's what I'm saying. It makes me not feel bad because he gonna have to pay his penance. I'm sorry. It is what it is. They ruining everything out here. But he actually, it's like that's just a glimpse. Like, I don't know what he was shooting for. He was shooting for the violence, or if he really into cars. But I feel like a lot of times they not getting the education they need. Shout to where he said, forums, you got more education. That's a fact. Shout to Dr. Phil. He said, I was on Zilvia and never owned a Z with 240. That's a fact. You're just getting information. They had one for Toyota. I forget the name, but Lexus. I mean, you name it. If you bought the car, you were definitely going to join the forum, because it made that much more sense for you. You know what I mean? Shout the way. He said, the dude that got beat up hurt a dude bad and he has to pay for that dude's injuries. It's ignorance. That's a fact. But is it ignorance because they are car people before the ignorant? I don't know. Maybe if he had a better outlet, or maybe if he had a better place where people was teaching him, like, yo, now we don't get down like that because people out here spending $2,000, $3,000, and $4,000 on wheels. You feel what I'm saying? Like, nobody out here trying to drift and bash up their wheels out here in the street. You can take it to the track if you want to. You know what I mean? Shout to D Ware. He said even the Maximus had a forum. Right. Even the Maximus had a forum. And not only that, when you join those forums, it's like they held you to a standard. It's either you're going to do this or you're going to be out of here. We ain't doing all the selling all the parts, and unless you put it in the classifieds. I think that kind of turned a lot of people off too, like a lot of the rules and stuff that the forums used to have. But back in the day, man, you just could not beat a good forum. B20 VTEC, I try to think how many parts I done bought off of there. And I mean, I went crazy on that. Shout the way. He said, we went to lots, but now it's a good restart since cops don't care about lots anymore. I don't know. It look like the cops are all over the place when it comes to some of these car meets now. It's like you show up, maybe you're gonna have to run in 10 minutes. I don't know. It's like, and you don't gotta be doing nothing. But can we be mad at them? Like I remember one of my homeboys, he said, they just see cars grouped together. They don't know that you guys are really car guys and y'all not trying to damage our cars versus the guys who are not, who are actually out there just to be silly, ram slack, and slide right into somebody's car. They can't tell the difference. So they got to break the whole thing up. And I was like, I don't know, man. It's definitely different out here in these days. But that nostalgia of the forums, of the internet forums, oh man, when I saw that, I was like, wow, they took it down. Shout out to D-Way. He said I was on the Volvo forums seeing that 700 horsepower V80R. I learned about the adapter plate to put the 5-cylinder into the BMW. You know what I'm saying? V70R. But that's what I mean. Going to the days of that kind of information, it's like those cars are now considered old school for real compared to what these people can buy now. You know what I mean? So just something to think about, man. Can groups bring back forums glory? Like, can we have a group that could bring back the glory of a forum? Do you think that's possible? I don't know. I don't think so. You know why? Because like I said, Facebook is and that's probably the only place where you can have groups. I believe they have groups on YouTube as well. I'm not sure. I'm gonna look into it, but we know there's a Facebook group. And even when we created our group, don't forget you can send us a request to be in the group if you're not. It's called Gutter Balling or Gutter Ball Rally, the community. Search us out. You know, you pass the criteria, we'll let you in or whatever. You know what I mean? But it's just that I believe they can be, but they got to bring back the thread. See, one thing about social media that I've noticed outside of the forum is that the forums had a thread, and you could look at somebody's thread and look at their build and go back and check out the thread and ask questions. Where now it's like if you put up a picture of your build and say, tune in for the next week or whatever, like, look for more updates, they got to post it. And it's like if you could go back to the same thread with social media, it'd be that much more better, I believe. So just something to think about. Shout out to my guy Esco. He said these dudes driving like they in a video game, like if they smash the whip, they think they're gonna respawn. That messed up the culture. It has. I believe it messed up the culture because now nobody's there to help them. Nobody's there to correct them. Nobody's there to point out the things that we don't do. We don't act like that. Car domain. You know what I mean? Like, we need that. They need that because listen, the young guys are coming up, and if they don't got no direction, no structure, they're going to do what they feel is right. We already see how reckless that could get, man. So with that being said, shout to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. You already know what it is, man. That was our driver's etiquette. Don't forget, man, visit your local thread. See, visit your local forum and see if they still around. I'm going to go to CRX community. They probably still kicking or whatever, but there's something to think about. Very nostalgic times back then. It was great. It was great. It was definitely great. You send a message, people would put up things for sale. You send a message, yo, I'll pay you, da 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 da, da, and I'll come pick it up. And you waiting to see if they respond back to you, if the parts were sold already. It's great times, man. With that being said, man, we're gonna jump right into our next little segment we got going on here, man. It's gonna be very interesting. This one is one for the books, man. And I know y'all remember this one if you're a nostalgic car guy. We're gonna find out right now. Let's get to it.
Legends of Auto. Real legends never die.
All right, you already know how we get down, man. The legends are in the building. And with that being said, there's one legend that a lot of people remember, don't talk about much, but now with Toyota doing what it's doing, we got to talk about this one because a lot of tuning companies at that time, I remember Japan had thousands of them. They had Signal Auto, you name them. They had so many, and there was some that was loyal to some brands. But there was one in particular that I was like in awe over, and that's going to be the famous Top Secret Supra. Y'all remember that? And if not, we're going to make sure that we put a picture up on the website, up in the group for people to find. The famous Top Secret Supra actually had a V12 engine in it from a Toyota Century. The engine was a 5-liter, 1GZ FE V12 from the Toyota Century, fitted with twin HKS turbos, tuned to produce 930 horsepower, 745 foot-pounds of torque. Back then, that was unheard of. And then a lot of guys were thinking, oh, man, look how much power they got out of that 2J. When they found out that it was actually a V12 in that car, they were blown away. Now, we all know that it was Nagata that was driving this car, and he ended up getting locked up by doing 200 miles an hour on UK's A1 motorway and taping it. But he ended up cementing himself and Top Secret as a legend. But this car was ridiculous. Built, like we said, by Kazuno Smokey Nagata of Top Secret. This guy took this Toyota Century engine, and that was another, like, nobody, car guys knew, don't get me wrong. Toyota guys knew especially that this car was going to be able to be powered by a V12. But when you first initially saw it, you did not think that this thing was going to have a 12 in it. Shout the way he said, I don't think that engine was built. I don't know. V12, they saying it was built, or it was definitely swapped into the Supra. I don't know if it was built from the gills, like what we talk about, like sleeve block or anything like that. But who knows how strong this V12 is? I mean, we talking about a 1GZ FE. I don't even think outside of that Toyota ever really did any other like real performance work with that engine. But this car was internet famous when the internet was still a jungle. This car was famous. Everybody saw the video. And like I said, he ended up getting arrested from what he did in that car. Achieved speeds of over 200 miles an hour on the UK's A1 motorway, leading to his arrest. But he ended up being a legend. And that is what I mean. Legend of Auto. With that being said, Legend of Auto is going to be today the famous Top Secret V12 Supra. Let's go. You already know how we get down, man. That is a legend in itself.
Legends of Auto. Real legends never die.
Anyway, he said no pistons. It was just from the muscle. Right. Slapping the turbos on a... That's what I'm saying. Like, they was doing, back then was real car builds, man. Just real quick. Everybody's seen the Signal Skyline, but there was a point where Signal was building S15s, drift cars, like, oh man, like you name it. It was so many. That's when the Japanese market was like, to us in America, we was just having a fit. It was just a great time. Great time, man. With that being said, shout out to everybody who's tuned in, paying attention. You know how we get down, man. It's Rally Radio. It's the bearded one. We in the building. I want to thank everybody that tuned in today. The Brown Hornet, D-Air. Shout to my guy Esco. Shout to Dave. Shout to my man Green. Shout to Dr. Phil. Shout to the Brown Hornet. Shout to everybody who rocked with us today. You already know what it is. Don't forget you can subscribe to the YouTube page, Rally Radio Podcast. You can find us there. Instagram, Rally Radio Podcast. We do have a new phone, so we will be answering calls, but just today, it didn't go the right way today. But you already know what it is, man. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe. And we definitely have some other footage coming your way. We got some other things going on. Shout out to my guy Esco. He said, great car culture boosters, the videos of people rebuilding smash cars and upgrading on YouTube. You put me on. That's what I'm just saw a super rebuild. Shout out to my guy Esco. He said, that's why I want to do the 2GR FE V6 Corolla. Puerto Ricans been building, doing wild swaps before smoking. They were wilding together. Welding mounts and all of that. Shout out to AKA the Nose Hunter. You already know what it is, man. We appreciate everybody for tuning in, man. I appreciate everybody. The Brown Hornet, he was tuned in with us today. Shout out to my guy Draco. Shout out to Darth Spalding in the building. You already know how we get down. Shout out to my guy Jay. You already know what it is, man. We're gonna have to have a real super get together for the community, the gutter ball rally, the community. We are back. A lot of things been going on, but we are back. With that being said, I want to shout everybody who tuned in, and you already know what it is, man. It's the bearded one here, man. Rally Radio in the building, gutter ball rally in the building, and until next week, I am out. Let's get it. You know how we get down.
Drop the clutch, hit the gas. Rally Radio, where the fast life meets the fast lane.
Yeah.
You're now tuned into Bars and Hoops Radio. Where the world of hip-hop and sports live.
Dropping the clutch and then I hit the gas. Wheels screeching, tires burning, I'm flying past. Gotta get home quick, don't wanna miss the class. They schooling you on whips and how to make them fast. Talking about everything from cars to planes. What's hot, what's next, and how to flip the game. They talk in my language, we speak the same. That whip talk complex, but yet they keep it plain. From the news, the interviews, they keep it cool. They give reviews, everything from parts to tools. Can't lose, come to whips, they not no fools. Don't miss the show, the start time is noon. The bearded one, S.I. Sean, they crazy though. You can't miss it, tune in to Rally Radio.
Where the fast life